Hey, footy fans, welcome to the Point of Difference Rugby League podcast. I'm your host, Dave, and today we're going back in the day with one of the Auckland legends. He's played for the Kiwis. We all love him. It's the one and only Ron O'Regan. How are you, man?
Yeah, good mate. Good work, Dave. Good to be on the show.
Oh, mate, bloody fantastic to meet you and to have you on the show. So, where are you hiding out these days? I hear you're doing a bit of greyhound training.
Yeah, we've been down here for quite a while now. We're down in Barrow on the Hauraki Plains, about an
Right.
hour and 10 minutes out of Auckland. So there's a bit of a story to all that. Yeah, sort of after the league career sort of finished, I needed a bit of direction. So,
Yeah.
so being a bit of a pig hunter and all fisherman and all that, and had a couple of greyhounds. So the wife and I decided the best place for me and the kids would be out of the city. So that's how we
Yeah.
landed here. Yeah.
That's nice, man. I like Pyro because I'm a bit of a trail runner, so I've done that trail between Pyro and Waihi and back a few times. That's a pretty good little run, that.
Oh, it is a good one. Yeah. No, did you go right out to Kiowa?
No, I didn't, but I've
Okay.
I've done as far as that LMP bottle, that famous
Yep.
bottle, all the way to the
Yep.
Waihi train station and all the way back. That's a pretty good run,
Oh,
that.
cool. Cool. Yeah, I see you do a lot of running. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
yeah, good on you, mate. Yeah, I wish I could still run because I used to do a lot of running myself back in the
yeah,
day. Yeah.
yeah,
But
man.
yeah,
I get injured all the time. I'm shocking. I'm actually injured at the moment. I just keep plodding, mate.
yeah, no, it's an addiction, isn't it? The old
Yeah,
fitness.
yeah, it
It's
is.
definitely an addiction.
Yeah, man, that's the way I knock back a few beers and get away with it. Yeah.
Good on you. That's the bugger.
Yeah, man. Right. So let's rewind the clock. Ron O'Regan, where did you grow up? What was life like for you as a young fella? And then what was that journey to getting into rugby league?
I grew up in Mount Albert with the Mount Albert Lions in that area there, and yeah, no, it was sort of humble lifestyle. Dad worked in a factory, and Mum worked from home, and I had four brothers and sisters, and I had no idea until about 4 or 5 years old what rugby league was. Until my
Okay.
neighbours, I had a couple of neighbours that did play rugby league, but then when I found out about rugby league, we were sort of in the hub of rugby league. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But being a kid, I didn't really know. I knew rugby because see it on TV with dad and that. But
Yeah.
so my neighbours said to me one day, there were two Finity brothers, and one of them was actually turned out a good footballer himself, and Brian was a good club footballer. But Warren Finity, he was a Premier League player for Mount Albert. Not then,
Okay.
but he was only a few years older than me. He was like 5 years older than me.
Right.
Um, And they said one day, because I was quite a chunky little lad, and they said, come over the fence and have a game of rugby league. But
True.
what happened was I become their tackling bag, see? And so
But
I used to love it. I used to go over there and get battered and then come home and dad would go, what are you doing over there? I said, we're playing rugby league.
yeah.
And they go, oh, yeah, okay. How do you like it? I said, I love it. And so from there, I was about 5 years old. Their mother
Okay.
rang him, and the boys said, "Oh, you should have a crack. You go all right." Because Brian was 2 years older. I think Warren was 5 years older, and I was
Right.
copping what they were giving me. So they thought, well, have a go. So Mrs.
Yeah.
Finity herself, Rangy, she took me to training for my first training, and in that team there, that 5-year-old was Shane Cooper,
Oh,
and
wow.
Shane Cooper was already, I think he'd already had a season. I think Shane started at 4,
Okay.
playing league at 4, or 4 or 5, but I was definitely 5. And yeah, I sort of learned a little bit playing in the backyard there, and I went down there and I watched Shane, and he was a good passer of the ball, and a
Yeah.
couple of other boys and that. So I was a quick learner, but I was more like, from these guys, what they'd taught me, I was more like into tackling.
Yeah.
So I was sort of started off a bit of a tackler, but I kept an eye on Shane all that sort of season, and I sort of
Yeah.
developed my own ball skills, from watching
Okay.
him. So yeah, that's how I got in the game. It was like yeah. So and then I found out that just about everyone in the area played rugby league.
Okay. Like you fit right in. So would you say that? So you said tackling was something you did a lot. Was that what kept you coming back? Like, liking the, hold
Well,
guys in half on the field when you were a bit younger?
Well, yeah, no, I sort of like I say, I was a bit of a quick learner.
Yep.
So obviously played a few games and then picked it up pretty quick. And yeah, no, it started pretty good. I think Shane and I got in every Auckland rep team right up to the premiers. Like till
Wow.
we ended our careers. I think we missed 1 year. Mine was with sickness, and I think Shane had an injury. When we were
Okay.
about 14, but I think we played from 1965. When I finished playing for Auckland was 89. I played one more game in 89. And I said to Cameron Bell, that was it. So we just about played every year. So yes, so we got used to playing for Auckland.
Absolutely, you did.
Yeah.
Would you say you're a bit of a natural, like, because you pretty well progressed, like you said, you made rep sides every year, the
Yeah,
Auckland side.
no, once I picked it up, that and to be honest with you, Dave, that's the only sport I ever played.
Yeah.
Was rugby league. So I did pick it up quick because like I say, I played for most of the Auckland teams, Northern Zone teams, paper under 13 Kiwi team, sort of things like that.
Yeah.
So we picked it up
Yep.
pretty quick, and then yeah,
Yeah, man.
so it was good,
You,
and I
you,
loved it, and I still love rugby league.
yeah, man. You're quite versatile too, like coming through. Because I've seen you played in the forwards, you played in the backs, you've sort of pinch hit, all over the team. So that's got to be a handy string to the bow where you can be used pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, no, I was big enough to play in the forwards, and I was skillful enough to play in the backs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was pretty lucky there. That's So I started as a centre. I
Yeah.
started as a prop when I was a kid.
Oh,
I
really?
was a prop. I was a
Far
prop
out.
as a kid, and
Yeah.
then I grew. I got quite tall, so obviously, and I got quicker and all that jazz, and I started skills and that. So I ended up in the centre. Shane was standoff halfback. I was out in
Yep.
the centres, but we had a good schoolboy team and junior team. I think we went 5 years unbeaten as kids.
Far out.
So we had a good grounding. And Mount Albert was a great club to be a junior in, and a schoolboy, and they're
Yes.
still a great club. I left them later on, but I mean, it was all for the better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So speaking of Mount Albert, like, how many years did you play for them, and what was it like when you started coming up through the ranks, and who were some of the people in the club that people might recognise that you got to play alongside?
Well, I only played 1 year premiers, Dave, in 1979.
Okay.
Okay, so what happened was it was an Easter weekend, and it was a double header. They played
Yes.
Saturday and Monday. So
Okay.
our
Wow.
our coach, yeah, Saturday, Monday, and it was Carlo Park, and we were sort of they were looking at us. The premiers were looking at a few of us from this under 18 team. Because like I
Yes.
say, we hadn't been beaten for a long time, and so obviously pretty good. And we made all the junior Kiwi teams and the Auckland teams and that. So Tony
Yeah.
Krillitich was the coach, and he was a great player himself. He was a Kiwi, and he was a coach, and he rang my dad and said, "Is it okay if you guys play on the Monday, Shane and I?" And
Far out.
Dad said, "Go," because Dad was our coach, and
Yep.
my dad, Don, and so he said, "Go for it." So we went up there and played, and we played Ellerslie, and
Yep.
they had Ken Sterling, Chris Jordan, Murray Eade, Murray Netzler. Oh,
Wow.
they had all the Kiwis. They had the older Kiwis coming through. We're 18. We're
Far
18.
out.
Going on 19. We're 18. So it was a daunting task
I bet.
um, to go out there and play. But the good thing about it, we beat them. We
Right.
beat them. No, we beat them.
Far
It
out.
was on Carlo. It was on Carlo Park #2 at 1 o'clock, and we beat them. And what
Amazing.
a buzz that was! We sort of went up to the club. We got on the drink. Like
As you do.
we cracked it. We played for the Premier. Well, this is how my sort of career started playing Provincial for Auckland seniors. After that game, Don Hammond, who was the Auckland coach,
Yeah.
rang me on the Monday at home and said to me, the first thing he said to me, "Hi, Ron, it's Don Hammond, the Auckland coach here. Have you got a suitcase?"
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, and I hadn't done much travelling except for a couple of tours. I went with the under 18 Auckland team and the under 11 Auckland team. We went to Australia. I said, I'm sure that we've got one here somewhere. And he said, because you've been selected to go and play in the AMCO Cup on Wednesday night. So
Amazing.
that was the start to my provincial career. From that game on the Monday, not that Wednesday, the following Wednesday, went to Leichhardt Oval and played. I think it was either Western Suburbs or Cronulla.
I think you played Cronulla.
Yeah, so we played Cronulla. So as an 18-year-old kid, I've gone over there with all these like Shane Varley, Fred Arcoy, all those guys who were already established. So and that was a great, and I was a goal kicker back then.
Yeah.
So I slotted a couple of goals.
That
So it was
feels
a great
good.
experience. Yeah, so that's how that started.
That's insane. Were you a toe poker back then? You still the old toe poker kicking
Yeah, no,
style?
down the middle, torpedo on the
Yep.
sand. Yeah, no, down the middle. Yeah, so and that goal kicking got me in the Auckland team a few times because listen, I was still learning. We had Olsen
Wow.
Filipana, Fred Arcoy, James Luluai, Dennis Williams,
Mate.
Shane Varley. That was the back line. I'm trying to break in the back line, right? So I just had to
Far
take
out.
my time.
Yeah.
I did it and played on the wing once, which I had
Yeah.
not the wheels for it, but because I was a good goal kicker at that
Right.
time, I got selected and I did all right until a couple of years after senior football. I snapped my quad and
Yep.
I just lost a bit of power in the kicking and that, so I just said no, I'll just concentrate on playing. So
Okay.
yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. So how daunting was it flying over to Australia as an 18-year-old playing for Auckland in the Amco Cup, taking on some pretty big names in, the Australian competition?
Well, David, I don't know if you've heard about me, but I was a pretty confident sort of guy.
Okay.
I'm not a cocky bloke. I'm not a big head or anything, but when it come to football, I owned it. So
That's awesome.
yeah, no, I owned it. So I was 18 and a half. I just took it in my stride. I just played like a normal game, but learned a lot. Obviously a lot quicker pace and all that. But as a 17-year-old, I got a contract offer from Wigan.
Really?
And I turned it down. Tim Johnson, he was another neighbour. He had a contact to Cess Mountford, who was and Alex Murphy who were at Wigan, and it was a good deal too. But I just felt at 17 I was too young, to leave home and that. I had a job and that. So so I left that. But yeah, so I had a good start to my career. Obviously, I showed up early,
Absolutely, you did. And then I hear that you had to make a necessary change of leaving Mount Albert to retain your Auckland jersey because they got relegated to second
They got
division.
relegated, exactly, Dave.
Yeah.
So that was the hardest decision I ever made. Like I say, and now it all happened. Shane and I had to split up. We were like, the dynamic duo at one stage. We knew each other's play so well, and Shane was willing enough to sit it out and stay with Mount Albert, true blue. Where I wanted to stay in because he hadn't made the Auckland team just yet. Where I hadn't, and I was told if you can't play second division and play for the first division Auckland team.
Okay.
So I worked for the P&T, the Post and Telegraph.
Right.
And I was at Smoko one day, and someone said, "Where are you going to play this year, Ronnie? Your team's been relegated. You got to play first division." I said, "Well, I'm not sure yet." Otahu showed a bit of interest.
Okay.
They're a very strong club. And someone said, "Oh, a team called City Newton's just gone up from second division to first division."
Okay.
So I said to and the guy that I grew up with, Warren Finity, he was an established senior footballer.
Right.
And I said to him, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "I'm not sure yet. I might stay with Mount Albert or I might look for another club." I said, "Well, I heard City Newton just come up." So we went down there.
Yeah.
Bob Bailey sort of got wind of it because Bob was the coach.
Right.
And this is 1980. This is after 79. So this is 80. So he got wind of it. And I'll tell you what, this was very interesting because Roger Bailey is one of the greatest players of all time. He was a fan of mine. Yeah, he was a big fan of Shane and I because he used to write for the 80 Club. So he wrote a couple of good articles about us. So, but Bob being Bob, and I don't mind saying this if Bob even sees this. Bob's a real close mate. And I went there and he interviewed Warren first and come back. And then I went over and talked to him and he said, "You think you can play?" This is what he said to me. He said, "You think you can play? I think you're okay. My brother thinks you're a good player, but if you come down here and play under my guidance, you'll be a real good player."
Okay.
That's what he said. That's what he said. So I went back to the table and I said to Warren, I said, "What did he say to you?" He said, "Oh, no, he's quite happy to have me come here." And I just said, "He reckons I'm all right player." I said, "But he was going to make me a better player," which he did, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That year in 1980 when I went to City, and it was I don't know what you've heard of City Newton. It was a club of characters, but I just loved it there. It was a club of characters, and most people, like even the South Island boys, when they come up from the South Island, they go down to City Newton for a drink.
Yeah, for a good night.
It was a good social club, but they loved their rugby league and they were good at it. And that year, I made the New Zealand 13.
Yeah.
That played Australia at the showgrounds.
Yeah, man, Addington. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So it was a good start, and Bob obviously was a great mentor. And he was right. He helped me and he honed my skills on that. So yeah, awesome. That's how I ended up there.
Amazing. So was it a big deal when players transferred clubs back in those days? I guess because you obviously got relegated, but let's say you went to another Prem side. Would it be quite a rivalry, big deal type of thing, switching sides back in the day?
Well, yeah, it was really because, most guys stayed. So if they started at Richmond, they finished at Richmond,
Yep.
Or the same, like Mount Albert and that. But no, I was willing to keep that Auckland jersey.
Yeah.
I wanted that Auckland jersey. It wasn't a guaranteed jersey because you still had, because Bob wasn't the Auckland coach then, it was still Don Hammond. So you still had to impress. And I thrived down there, like it was a new challenge, getting away from Mount Albert, who I grew up with. And it's I did all right down there. And I made, I think Ron Ackland, one of the Acklands, or I think it was Ron.
Yeah.
Was before I made the Kiwis in '83, he was an 8 Kiwi in the '60s. So they hadn't had a Kiwi since the '60s, and I was their next Kiwi. So, so that was a great honour. There was a great celebration too that night.
Absolutely. I bet you got hammered. So, as you said, you were selected to play for that New Zealand 13, playing the Kangaroos down here in Christchurch.
Yes.
How did you find out you'd been selected? And how massive was that for you to find out you'd been selected?
Oh, that was massive, mate. That was massive. That was the start of a mean journey. So we went into a training camp. Graham West is on the side. There were some good players, there was some good fringe players for the Kiwis, and I was playing centre back then. And I didn't care. Like, I was at that stage in life, I was full of it. I was pretty big lad, didn't mind throwing one. And they said, "Oh, you're marking Mick Cronin and Chris Close."
Oh my God.
I said, "Oh yeah." I knew of Mick Cronin, but I never knew of Chris Close. Old Choppy Close. So anyway, so the coach, I think it was, forget who the coach was, but Seth Mountford was involved, and he was quite a strict guy. And he said, "Oh, when you go out there today," he said, "you got to respect these guys." I said, No, that's all good. That's all good. I'll go out there. Well, I couldn't help myself. So Mick Cronin gets the ball. I come over the top and I give him one. He looked up to me and said, "You'll keep, Sonny." He said, "You'll keep, Sonny." About 5 minutes later, just smashed me into yesterday, into tomorrow. And that's all right. And the other centre, Chris Close, he was about 20 stone and could run 100 metres in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So, that was, but that day, I got to admit, they give us a bit of a beating, but I did score a try. I did score a try, and I got past Ray Price, so I was quite happy.
That's not bad. Ray Price is a legend.
It's not a bad effort. Yeah, it's a bit of a bragging right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. They had Rod Reddy and Tommy Raldonicus in the team as well, and Les Boyd. Like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, that's a hell of a team.
Rod Reddy was my hero growing up when I, the Aussie scene. I loved his
Yeah.
big pass, and he used to have a beautiful pass and that. So to be able to play against him was amazing.
Yeah, man.
So I had a good start. I had a good foundation, and yeah, and yeah. So, but then I went to England for a couple of seasons.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I went to England, and that was during all this happening. So it was a bit of it all happened all at once.
Yeah.
Because back then not many guys travelled. You know how they go all the time now, and in the last 20 years. Back then, I think I was one of the first to go back because there was a block on everyone going there. And I went to Barrow. I went to Barrow Raiders. James, Fred, Gary Campbell, and Dane O'Hara were down at Hull.
Yep.
Shane Varley was up in Workington, and sort of that was it. You know, that was only the only. Oh, and Danny Campbell was already over there. He was playing for Wigan. He was a guy from up north. Sadly passed away. Rest in peace, big fella. He was a good player. Danny. So yeah, that was great. That was just a whole different world to what I've just been into with the Anco Cup, the Australian game, and then I've got to go and play these guys in England, you know, in Barrow, First Division. And I can tell you what, Dave, it was interesting because when I got on the plane to go to England, I said to the bloke next door to me, we're going to Singapore first.
Okay.
I said, and having a couple of beers, and I said, how far to Singapore? Like I'd only been to Aussie, a couple of hours. He said, 10 hours. I said, 10 hours? I said, how long is it to England? He said, 24.
Oh my God, you didn't know.
Didn't have a clue, mate. Didn't have a clue.
Oh my God, you were in for a shock.
Oh no, I was just one of those guys. I just went with it. So
yeah, that's the way.
So I get there. I get to London.
Yeah.
Heathrow, and there's a guy there standing from Barrow with my name on a card.
Yeah.
I said, sweet, I'm here. But I thought it was like Mangere Airport to Auckland. Okay. This is how naive I was back then.
Oh God.
And they had the real broad accent. They're great people, the Barrow people. I loved it up there. And anyway, I get in his car, he had an Audi, and we're driving away. And I said, how far to home? He said, 10 hours. Another 10 hours up to Barrow.
Oh my
London,
God.
You had to get through it was 2 hours to get from one side of London to the other. And then we had to get up the motorway, and there was another 8 hours on the motorway. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. So that was all right. So then he said, oh, we'll take you down. When the next day he said, I'll take you to training. I'll introduce you to the lads and the coach.
Yeah.
Well, our coach was called Frank Foster, and he was a Great Britain international, but one of the hardest men. They like Jim Mills, Vince Corellius, all them. Yeah. Talk about Frank Foster in the same breath.
Yeah.
Right. So I go there, I had my leather jacket on, pair of jeans, pair of running shoes, no interest in training because I'm full jet lag. Yeah. And Frank goes, how quick are you? And I said, I go all right, because, I wasn't a flying machine, but I could run a bit.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's all right, lad. He said, I said, I got no gear. I tried to get out of it straight away. I said, I got no gear on me. He said, that's all right. We can get some gear right here. There's plenty of gear right here for you. What happened was their big signing for Barrow that year, a guy called Ian Ball, an English rugby union, played for England. They signed him, but he just got injured. So they were looking for a quick replacement.
Right.
And I'm hungover. I'm still hungover from the plane trip.
Of course.
Yeah, so because I'm thinking, about 3 days to settle in. Then we'll cruise down to training and we'll do all that. This is the next day. So, so he lines me up against a guy called Terry Quinn, and I didn't know any of them. I didn't have a clue who any of the players were. So we go down to under the sticks there, and he goes, go. Well, when he went go, this bloke's on the 22, and I'm just getting off the blocks. So anyway, I held my line all the way up the field, and a couple of the boys in the team, they were all on the pitch, and they said, you didn't go too bad to me, and I was a bit despondent. He beat me by 25 metres sort of thing. Okay. You didn't go too bad. I found out he was one of the quickest wingers in England. He was one of So, and then I come back to the shed and Frank said, that wasn't too bad, lad. I'll see you on Thursday, training.
Sweet.
Well, anyway, I ended up straight on the bench for Barrow. And
Yep.
so that's how my career started there. And I had a good run that year. And then I went back the next season. And at 21, I actually ended up captain
Amazing.
of Barrow. Yeah, no,
That's so cool.
it was only unfortunate for my mate Eddie Samala, who was a Great Britain international. He
Yep.
got injured, and he must have said to Frank, "Oh, Ronnie's been a bit of a captain back in New Zealand. Give him a go." So I think I led him out for about 10 matches. So that was another great experience.
Oh, that's amazing, man. So how did they actually originally get you over there in the first place? How did that idea of going to Barrow Raiders come up?
Well, I just got a phone call. That same guy got me to Wigan.
Yeah.
Tim Johnson, I think he must have had something because they had my number and they rang me up. And I've said this on another show I've done. Their accent was that broad, very hard. The Northerners, you got to get used to how they talk, and they got other, way of saying mate and all that. And I just kept agreeing with the bloke. Just I didn't know whether it was first, second, or third division I was going, but I knew I was going to England. So that's how. So it was just a phone call, and the airfares were sent, and away I went. And
Still got friends today.
yeah, I still got mates today that ring me on like this, like on FaceTime
Yeah.
and that. So great couple of years. But the reason I'm glad I didn't stay because I had a really good career coming back home and
Yes.
doing the Kiwi thing and all that. So yeah, but no,
Yeah,
I
man.
loved it.
Did you like the conditions over there and the style of play in the UK?
I didn't mind the style of play, but the actual playing conditions in the snow and that was pretty tough, eh?
Yeah, you got any horror stories of playing in the snow or anything?
Well, not really. Not a really horror stories. But one day my hands were that cold, I didn't even know I had the ball in my hand. Like that, and the training conditions, our pitch used to just snow right over, so we used to train in the grandstands, and things like that.
Really?
So,
Wow.
but no, it was. We played in the John Player Cup quarter final against Hull, against the boys, against James
Yeah.
and Freddie and all them. And we did it right. They beat us at home, but it was a great experience for me personally. It brought me on as a player. It
Absolutely.
it brought me on. It was great. It was. I come back with a bit of attitude. Go back to Carlisle Park and give them one or two. The old English style. So yeah, but hey, great memories.
Yeah, man. Well, you were there in your second season. You played the Kangaroos again. Do you remember playing that match?
Oh, and I remember playing against the Kangaroos, and there's another. This is another thing that happened. So they rang me up and they said I was going. I had everything booked, but they said, "Oh, we're playing Aussie because we were the fourth. We come fourth that year. I was there, so the top four teams played Aussie."
Oh, wicked.
Yeah. So, but there's another, and he just got inducted into the Australian Hall of Fame, number 78, Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers, I'm marking Steve Rogers.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, that's Matt's dad, and so good as gold. First half, I think it was 10-all.
Yeah.
And old Steve Rogers just opened up, mate. I think he scored 5 tries that night. I felt a bit sick after the game. But hey, as I say to him, and as my career went on, and I did a bit of coaching at the end, I said it's all an experience.
Absolutely.
And there's another guy taken too early. Rest in peace, big fella, because he was a brilliant player.
Yeah. I mean, they had Steve Ella, John Rebo, Wally Lewis, Gene Miles, and Wayne Pearce when he's a young fella. Like, that's epic, like coming up against these guys.
Oh, mate, well, that's the thing, you sort of judge yourself sometimes on who you play and who you play with and who you play against, and in this world I'd be coming to, I was playing all these guys all the time now. And it was either good or bad, but it was mainly good because the Aussies used to beat us, but not once when I was there, the 83 one. So but great experience, Dave. You sort of, but it's hard. Like now, I'm an older man, and move a lot of people. Even my kids, I've got 4 beautiful children, They
Yeah.
don't really like listening to these stories. They've heard them all before.
Well, I haven't heard them all. Oh, I love it, mate.
When
I
I
love it.
used to see Matt Rogers, I used to say, "Oh, I played against his dad," and they go, "Oh, yeah, okay, Dad, yeah, okay, move on."
Can you be my dad? My dad doesn't like rugby league. Oh, I'd love it, mate. Okay, so moving on, you went on the tour to England with the New Zealand Māori side, and you were picked as vice captain, playing alongside guys like Clayton Friend, Ian Bell, Dean Bell, Russell Tudor, Joe Ropati, Hugh McGann, Owen Wright. Like, what a side! Was it an amazing experience? I mean, it must have been, right, going on tour. And what did you take away from the whole experience?
Oh, mate, and the thing about that tour, Dave was the coach. Tom Newton, Lummy Newton.
Okay. Yeah.
Not only a great coach, but a mentor. The young men. Like he had the money. Like
Right.
he would pull you up if he saw you not doing things right. He pulled you into line, and that tour was amazing. I think we were 9 from 9 or something, or 8 from 8.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy, and playing along, like Ian Bell, he's another one that's not with us now, my mate. I learned so much from him. He was a bit older and he played for the Kiwis. So with Dean and that, but that year, 83, that was my debut for the Kiwis that year. That was the debut year for the Kiwis. So that was another thing into the chapter. This is within 3 or 4 years. So
yeah, it's a whirlwind start.
Yeah, Kiwis, New Zealand Māoris, and amazing. But great experience, and playing with Hugh McGann, Owen Wright. Mate, they're just sensational players. Clayton.
Yeah.
On that tour, but I was very fortunate, mate.
Yeah,
very fortunate.
So, what did it mean for you to represent your Māori heritage and put the jersey on and play for your family, your whānau, and it must have been special.
Oh, very special, very special. My grandfather was so proud. So, but like I say, and with all those boys like Ian, Dean, Nicky Wright, Hugh, Owen Wright, we had Pat Pawasa, we had Anthony and Thomas Murray from up north.
Okay.
But to be fair, Dave, even back in the day then when we were playing, everyone took it in their stride.
Okay. Yeah.
Proud. But just take it in our stride. This is the job we got. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And when you got characters like Nicky Wright in the team and the Greek, there's a lot of fun as well. A lot of fun. Yeah. So yeah. But no. But I got a story for that one.
Okay.
So I think it's about our second or third game, but I played under Lummy in the Auckland team, Tom Newton, and so like I say, a great mentor. But I was getting a little bit, because I'd been in England, I'd played there, I was getting a bit cocky, I was throwing a few loose arms and that. So we're playing Halifax, and so Lummy gives me a good drilling before the game. You got to do this. He called me O'Regan. He didn't call me by Ron. He called me O'Regan. He's quite serious. Like he knew I had the goods, but he knew I had to hone it. So so we go out there on the pitch, and we kick off. A bloke runs at me. Went too high. Stiff armed him. I'm gone in 30 seconds. Gone. Right. So I go back to the dugout.
Yeah.
He's getting older, and Bill Coleman, he's the manager, another great bloke. I'm walking back. They're walking to the dugout. I'm already in the dugout, gone.
Yeah.
He said to me, "O'Regan, you're on." I said, "No, I'm off." He said, "No, you're on the 13. Get on there." I said, "I've been sent off." He said, Go. So that's okay, because like I say, he was a mentor. He just wasn't a coach. So I thought, here we go. I'm going to get a real drilling, because he was a toughie. Old Lummy was a toughie. He wouldn't back down from anyone. And I thought, here we go. He's going to give it to me now. You know what he said to me?
What?
Hook and hold. He said, just don't hook him, you hold him as well. That's what he
Do
said.
the job properly.
So beautiful. So I took that into my game. I thought, oh, well, hook and hold. So, because, you know, if you hook them and stiff arm them back in the day, they end up rolling around your arm and they're gone. But if you hold them as well, you get away with it because in those days, it didn't matter to go high. I had a coach, and I won't say any names. He'd rev us up in the first division, and he'd say nothing below the eyebrows for the first 10 minutes.
Oh, I love those old days.
That was the good old days. You see why the boys can't allow to touch the head anymore. I think we ruined it for everyone. But yeah, so that was a good story on that tour. But hey, he never dropped me from the team with that. I didn't get a suspension. I played every game, I think, on that tour. So yeah,
awesome.
But a good memory.
Yeah, man. So as you said, this leads to being selected for the 1983 Kiwis star-studded side. You're taking on Australia. How special is it to get your first Test cap, as well as Dean Bell, I believe, in that match? Carlaw Park, the hallowed turf, mate.
Crazy. That was crazy. Yeah, no, I got on with Mark Graham straight away.
Yeah.
I didn't really know Mark because he'd left New Zealand. He'd gone and played for Northern up in Brisbane, and then obviously made his way to Sydney. But just a real plausible guy, old Mark. You know, you take you under the wing and that. So he took a liking to me, and I said, mate, I'm that nervous. I can't sleep. And that was true. I was so nervous knowing that I'm going out there in front of my home crowd. Yeah. Marking Mel Meninga and Steve Rogers. Yeah, James Witherow and I were the centres. I was 4. James was 3. Wow. And they're doing the national anthem. In those days, we just stand looking at each other. The haka wasn't done till after the game. And I'm looking at Meninga, and he was a monster. And then Steve Rogers wasn't much smaller.
My God.
We did well. I think we didn't lose by much that day. And the write-ups were pretty good for Dean and I. So it wasn't like it was it was pretty cool. It was a great start for our international careers. Yeah. Yeah.
What's it like though when, like you say, you're selected for the Kiwis, you're still quite young. You look around the changing room, there's Kurt Sorensen, there's Gary Probe, there's Dane Sorensen, you know, Howie Tamati. You just like pinch yourself like you're in like a room full of some of the greatest Kiwis we've ever heard of.
Mate, I'm sitting there. I walk in there. It was at I forget where it was, but it was a nice place we stayed at. But Logan Park Centre. Right. So I'll tell you what happened before that. So when I got called into the team, I rang my dad and I said, Dad, I've made the Kiwis. He says, stop it. You know, stop it. I said, no, I've made the best team for next Sunday. He goes, unbelievable. So I went and saw him. But when I did walk into that room and I saw those guys, it was a pretty, what would you call it? It was like excited, but pretty nervous, mate. You know, because I'd met Graham Lowe. He'd come to a couple of games where I played, and he said, I'm keeping an eye on you. Yeah. I said, that's great. You know, that even give me more of a boost, you know? And to walk in that room and be part of it. And they made me feel welcome straight away. Brilliant. Kevin Tamati, KT. Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story with KT. Yeah, man. As we know, he's the beast. He's the beast, right?
He's the beast. Greg Dowling knows.
He's toughie. He's a real toughie, old KT. He's a junior one too. But anyway, great bloke. So we're at Central Districts playing Auckland 82. Yep. Carlaw Park, wooden stand down the thing. Doug Gailey and I think Lindsay Proctor, 2 great Kiwi players. The Blues started because the old Central Districts were, like I say, they got KT. So I can't help myself. I'm in the centre. So I come flying in. There's only one bloke no one's punching. And that's Kevin Tamati. He's standing there on his own. So I stepped up to him like that. He said, go away, Sonny. And I got the old Sonny one again. And then later on, he come over and tapped me on the shoulder. And he said, I don't really know you, mate. He said, but that's the best thing you ever did was put your hands down and walk away. So that was cool.
Oh, my God.
We ended up, mate. So no, Kevin's as we know, mate, just a legend. Yeah, so
man.
Yeah,
Great
just
story.
good memories. Yeah, no, I've got a few good stories.
So just on that, on that debut, what's it like? That moment where you run out, there's 18,000 Kiwis jammed in, or wherever it was you're playing. I'm pretty sure it was Carlo Park, and you're running out.
Carlo Park, yeah.
It was Carlo Park, and the crowd's going crazy. You've got all that nervous energy that's been built up probably all week, not sleeping.
Yeah,
You're out there, you hear the national anthem, like, man, what goes through your mind and your body at the time?
oh, mate, it's a funny feeling, but as a like I played professional in England, I'd had that Auckland experience,
Yeah,
and by this now at 23, I'm quite hardened to the fact that this is it.
Yep.
She's on.
Yeah,
Do your best. You know what I mean? Time for nerves are gone. Once you get out on that field, no nerves by now. You've got to do the business, you know. And the boys were great. You know, the other Kiwis or Shane Varley's and those sort of guys. The Fred Arcoy, they're just brilliant, mate. You know. So no, it was good. It was enjoyable, you know. And the great memories from that debut. And no, it was. But the next game when we went to Lang Park.
Let's talk about that. You're on the bench for this game. What's it like starting on the bench for a start? But like, come on, coach, put me in. You're taking on Australia and you've got the win. Amazing.
Well, I'll be honest with you, it was probably the first time I've ever been on a bench since I made the seniors, except for the Auckland team a couple of times when I was getting, when I was real young, 18 and that. But I can tell you, going into that match, we were 1,000,000 to 1 to beat them.
Yeah.
If there was a bookie, he'd give you 1,000,000 to 1 because they had Wally, Mel, they were on fire, mate, unbeatable.
Yeah,
right?
man.
But being a back and noticing our forwards, Brody, I think Brody was in there, Mark Broadhurst.
He was.
Westy, Kurt, mate, to watch them all week train.
Yeah.
I said to one of the other boys, I said, mate, we're on. This game's on, mate. We're not the outsiders that people think we are, you know. I could just the attitude of the team from that first test to that second test, there was a lot more hope. Because in that first test, obviously with Wally and all them in there and that, it's like, I know Aussie might be too good. You got to respect the opposition.
Yes.
But the way we prepared for that second test, mate, and as the results goes, we won. It was just unbelievable. So
man.
It was a great night.
Mate, they had some amazing players. Like you said, Melbourne Inga, Wally Lewis. They had Eric Growth. They had Ray Price. They had Steve Allett. All the great Parramatta players of that generation, amongst the best of all the other sides. And then they had Arthur Beetson coaching them. Crazy stuff.
Crazy, mate. Yeah, no, it was and like I say, Dave, and like even with the other boys that have played for New Zealand and that, once you're there in the zone, just bring it on.
Yeah.
Even though you're playing these names,
Yeah.
These names, these guys that you watch on, they're like Bob Bailey said to us when we played big matches, they're only human.
Yeah.
But they were pretty good humans.
Yeah, they're pretty decent, eh? You had one more. You had one more test in 1983 against the Kumals, Papua New Guinea. You gave them a thrashing, clocking up 60 points. Hugh McGann and Dean Bell completely hogged the ball, scoring 6 tries and 3 tries respectively. That's unbelievable. Wow.
Oh, mate. Yeah, no, that was crazy. They got some good ball from us.
Yeah.
That was awesome. We were expected to win. See, back then.
Yeah.
Like playing pup in that era. So they were a bit like Argentina in the rugby. They were still coming to terms with international football. Not like Argentina is now, but I mean, they were still learning Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate. And I think Kurt played in that game for us. A couple of them come back from overseas to play for us. So that was great. That was great. And yeah, so I had, had 3 tests under my belt then, and then I was getting pretty used to it. And then things changed a little bit in '84.
Yeah. Is that when
Yeah, little
City
few
Newton got relegated?
Yeah, they got relegated, and things weren't going too well for me personally.
Yep.
The mindset was, getting a bit distracted.
Okay.
But still played for Auckland and still enjoyed my footy. But I was very fortunate, like George Rainey. He noticed my form had dropped a bit.
Yeah.
He was the president of the Auckland Rugby League, and he took me under the shed there and had a good yak to me and said it's not over, because you haven't played for the Kiwis this year. He said, just keep grinding away and, hopefully things turn around for you. So I didn't have it all good, young man, go off the rails a little bit,
Right.
And it happens. It happens all the time, and I was one of them, and I was lucky enough to, be able to claw back, grind back into it because I love my fitness and I love rugby league. So there was only one option for me to put my head down and go again. Yeah. So '84 was a tough year because I actually got invited by Lowy to come and watch one of the test matches.
Yeah.
Sit on the bench with them. So I was still in the frame, but it was just I went off the ball. Personally, I can take that. I got off the ball a bit. So It was a bit of a toughie '84. Yeah.
Okay. No. So, like I said, City Newton's it's like deja vu. You're at another club, they get relegated to second division, and then you find yourself moving to Te Atatu Roosters. So, how did that move come about? And why did you go to Te Atatu?
Right. Well, I'll tell you a quick story. So Te Atatu, right? Under 15s, we go out Te Atatu, near Ave. And the Te Atatuians will hear the story. They've already told them. I had a Humber 80. I was 15. I had a Humber 80. Loved my Humber 80. Come back. I was playing Mount Albert. We drew with Te Atatu. But while we were playing, my car got vandalised.
Oh, no.
My poor old car got vandalised. My pride and joy. I'll never come back here again. That were my words, That was it. Te Atatu's out. Well, you wouldn't believe it. 1978, my parents moved out there.
Oh, no way.
They moved out to Te Atatu. They were in Mount Albert. They bought a house out in Te Atatu. I went, that's all good. That's all good, Dad. I said, you can move out there. I'll come and visit you. Blah, blah, blah. So, and then on that Maori tour in '83, there was a guy called Pat Fairbrother. I thought Fairbrother, right? And he was on the tour party.
Okay.
And he said to me, I see City Newton's been relegated. Would you like to come out to Te Atatu? I said, no way.
No,
I ain't going out Te Atatu.
No.
You will not get me, right? So it's quite funny. And so that's all good. He accepted that. So when I got back, he rang me again. And I said, no. I said, sorry, Pat. I said, blah, blah. I said, he rang me a third time and he said, are you sure you're not interested? I said, actually, money talks all languages there, Pat.
You got one of them Hummer car things,
So, hey, it wasn't a lot of money back then, but hey, it ended up being the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Like in my club football and in my career and my memories, Went out there under Brian Tracy, '84, made the top 4.
Yep.
City, Te Atatu were a bit like City, used to swing between first and second division. Because it was a tough comp up here, like in the first division. So, but we had a real good season, '84. But the deal was, and I'm a man of my word, if City Newton go back to first division, I'm going back to City Newton.
Okay.
Right. So we get to top 4, but I don't know if you know about the Frank Tintella story.
No.
Right. Oh no, Frank and I are pretty good mates, but so Te Atatu make the playoffs for the first time ever in the first division, right?
Okay.
So I'm all fired up, captain. Lead by example. Well, I should have led by example. Big Frank, 6'6", Tongan machine. He comes flying at me, and I don't know what happened that day. It was one of those, as I say to my wife, I still have them, a lapse.
Yeah.
Had a lapse, and anyway, Frank comes flying. You imagine it, 6'6" coming, and I couldn't help it. I don't know what went through my head, but I pulled the old elbow out, and I got him right in the jaw. I broke his jaw, and that was in the first minute and a half. So I take the dive because I knew that Otahu were just going to club me. So I took the dive, all and brawl, I'm gone, sent off, and it was a hard time for me that year. That was that same year, not making the Kiwi, getting sent off in a semi-final. So I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking, and this is a true story. I'm thinking, well, I'm sitting on there watching our team get done. Otahu had all those row parties and McGann and Owen Wright. They cleaned us up in the end, right? And I'm feeling sick. I'm thinking to myself, because my nickname became the Phantom.
Right.
So that was my main nickname in the end, because I could be there 1 minute, gone the next, It either. So I thought, it was in the back of my head, I thought, well, am I going to go back to the club? That's the attitude, or I'm going to do the Phantom. And I made the right decision. I went back to the club.
Okay.
I didn't apologise. And no one ever actually said anything like, oh, you cost us the game, blah, 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 our first ever final. All I said was, I shouldn't have done it, blah, blah. I went back to City Newton because they got back in first division, so I stood by my word. I went back to City Newton, and then we had a sponsor called John Dobson Construction.
Okay.
And so 86 season was approaching, and I was more than happy to be at City Newton again, right? And then John came over to my house and said, well, Te Atatu had after that 84 season, the 85 season, they had a quiet year. They just stayed in first division themselves, and even though I got sent off in that semi-final, they approached me and said, listen, mate, we need you back.
Okay.
And I said, hard to get away from City because I really loved playing there, and I enjoyed my time at Te Atatu, but I'd sort of made City Newton my new home.
Yeah.
So anyway, another thing, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
So I went back to Te Atatu, and it was quite hard for me because a lot of City people went, oh, you said you were going to stay here and that, but I said, yeah, but hey, this could set me up for life, what they're offering me, so I did the right thing. Not life, but it was a good offer, and what I got out of the club, I'm still living in it now.
Yeah, absolutely. You only get one shot at it.
Yeah. So, but the good thing about that, Dave, is that it was a success story out there. That 86 year, we made the Fox final, and then we won the Lion Red Cup that year.
Amazing. So good.
But 85, you know what happened then? They used to call it out on 1ZB.
Okay.
They never give you a heads up. I didn't make the test teams that year either. Until the tour was on.
Yeah.
And the older boys were saying to me, oh, you're not really a Kiwi until you do a full tour.
Right.
You're not like the Aussies said the same, you're not a kangaroo until you do a full tour.
Right.
So I played my form come back, and I was going all right. And but like I say, no heads up if you made the squad or that it was on 1ZB, the radio station. So you wouldn't believe it. So I'd had a day off work to listen to the announcement at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So they did all the backs' names. No, not in. I said, oh, no. Gone. So they did all the forwards except for two, and there was 28 spots.
Okay.
So 27 come up, and then there was number 28. And I said, I'm gone. And my name was called out.
Oh, mate. Oh, thank you, God.
That was unbelievable. I've still got the bag here. We all got our bag. I've still got our bag today, the number 28 on it. So, so I'm back in. so I'm back in. So yeah, so we made that tour. So that was brilliant.
Right, man. So let's talk about the tour. Where'd you go? Who did you play? How did it all play out?
Well, I don't know if you've done much revision on that tour, but our first game we played Wigan. Yeah, no, we played Wigan, and Vaughan O'Callaghan was the fullback, 18-year-old,
right,
from Waikato. Pissing down with rain. It was a real good English day for us. It was raining cats and dogs, and all the Wigan boys were doing was bombing poor old Vaughan.
Yeah.
And old Vaughan used to wear contacts.
Okay.
So he had a bit of visual, with the vision. And got back there and he threw a ball out to me and I fumbled it and blah blah blah. So we got beaten. It wasn't a big loss, but him and I got the brunt of the loss, So
okay.
But anyway, so as the tour went on, and it was a great tour, and that, I think in the second test or the third test, Mark Sharko or Mark Graham, I think he played with a broken ankle. I think.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Is that when Graham Lowe got him to get out there and play the third test with the broken ankle? They said they'd have an ambulance waiting for him pretty much straight after the game.
I think he scored the try and come off.
I know, it's freakish.
Absolute legend. But no, so that tour was a good tour, and we played Hull. We played Hull in the whole game, and I'm 13. I made my way into the forwards. I always like loose forwards, so I made my way on the pack. So I played a couple of games. I can't remember who they were, but I remember this whole game. So I'm on the back of the scrum, and I'm loving it, And so 10 minutes into the game, Clayton Friend got sent off. 20 minutes into the game, Olsen Filipano got sent off.
Well, there goes your halves.
So we're down to 11 players, right?
Oh my God.
So I thought, now's the time to step up. We've got 11 men against 13. Hull and Hull KR back then, and they were the great clubs,
Right.
They were the top clubs with Wigan and St Helens. But next time I look to the sideline, and my number's there, 13. He calls me off. He replaces me with Shane Cooper, right? He replaces
put him
me
in the
with
halves.
Shane Cooper. Right. So not knowing his reason for taking me off, it's filthy on it. Well, absolutely filthy. I'm trying to break back into the test team and I'm getting dragged. So he said, just go and have a shower. This is Lowy. Just go and have a shower. We'll talk about it later. I was filthy. But anyway, so we won. We ended up winning with 11 players.
No way. So Lowy That's amazing.
Lowy pulled me aside and he said, and this is what made him the great man he is today and the great coach he was. He said, you know what, if you'd stayed on there, we'd probably end up with 10 men.
I see.
So I copped that. I copped that sweet, So I understood, you don't understand these things when you're out there in the colours and in the Kiwi jersey, you just want to play. And when you see, I was just getting into it too, and you see your number, I go, oh my God. But it worked out for the best because we won the game, and so old Lowy made the right call again.
He did, man. He did. So, what other memories do you have of the tour? Was there anything that stood out in particular for you on that tour?
Not really. Obviously, made us grow up. The boys, we're away from home so long. And with Graham Lowe as I call our coaches back then mentors as well. Because your dad can only do so much for you, but when you're out in the big world, you need someone to look up to. You do. You had your hard. There was a lot of hard times on those tours, mate. It wasn't all just fun because you miss home.
Yeah.
Some of us were married. Some had girlfriends. You're missing. You could only write letters and.
Oh my God, those are the days.
There was a few heartbreaks. There was a few broken hearts out there. So, but with Lowy and Jim Campbell and Tom McEwen, they were the managers and that. No, they looked after us real good, and I believe that was a very successful tour for us. Yeah, so and we went to France, and then I broke back into the test team in France. So yeah, so
You had a good win in France, didn't you? It was something like 22-0. I think the score might have been in one of the games off the top of my head. But anyway, you had a good win. Yeah.
No,
that's good.
No, they were interesting to play against because they only knew one way, and that was play dirty, So the best thing for guys like myself and other guys who get a little bit toey was not to react to it, The old ghoulies would go, just grab you and fucking squeeze them, shit like that. Yeah, they were brutal. Yeah. They were brutal, especially over there, home ground and that. So, great experience. But no, I clawed my way back in. But I've got another good story for you. So I broke back into the test team, right? I'm starting. So Mark, he was always me mate. I'd sit beside him on the bus and that, So jump on the bus and I'm all keen, and he's there, and I go, Sharko, I've got a problem.
Yeah.
And he goes, what's your problem, Ronnie? I said, I forgot my boots.
Oh, you're kidding.
And we're in Paris. We're in the middle of Paris.
Oh, mate.
He said, Lowy. And he goes, yes, mate. He said, we've got a problem. He goes, what is it? The old mate's forgot his boots. So we turned the bus around in the peak hour in Paris. Drove back to the hotel. I fly up to my room, get the boots, come back on the bus. He's waiting for me at the door, away from the players. He said, let me down. You'll never play for me again.
Oh,
so
really?
The fortunate part about that second test, I was player of the day, so I was sweet. I got back in.
Made up for it.
So I made up for it, but it was a bad blue. But hey, just nerves again, just anxious, like people wouldn't realise playing for your country how much, you're nervous and anxious. You're playing for your country. You don't want to let anyone down, and it's a great honour. Yeah, a fantastic honour.
Yeah, man. So moving forward to 86, you went on the tour of Australia and Papua New Guinea. Started off with a couple of test defeats in Australia, but you actually captained a fair few of those midweek matches, like against Newcastle and a club called Wide Bay, which I'd never heard of. How did you enjoy the Australian leg of the tour before heading to Papua New Guinea?
Well, it was great, but I was actually tour captain of that tour.
Oh, really?
I was actually the captain. And that's quite interesting. I was named because I was on the outer, and then Lowy said because Auckland was successful, a couple of years I was captain, and he said, listen, I'm looking at you for tour captain next year. He said,
really?
Pull your head in, keep your head in. So I was named tour captain, and Mark was the test captain. So so that was a great honour, and So it was brilliant, mate. We played Newcastle just before they went into the Winfield Cup.
Yeah,
that was a battle. That was a battle, and it was a hard. Touring Australia is very hard. Conditions are hard. The heat, the hard grounds, but we did well. We did well, and we, played at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and then, but it was just brilliant experiences. Playing against those guys, and hey, and they were like you say. They're all their immortals now. Kenny, Lewis, Sterling, Meninga. That's who we played.
That's crazy, eh?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Amazing era. So what about Papua New Guinea? Like what's it like flying to Papua New Guinea? You've probably never been there before in your life. And man, I've heard some good stories from Papua New Guinea. So what's that whole experience like?
Well, no offense to anyone from Papua New Guinea, but it was tough, mate. It was a real culture shock for all of us that hadn't been there, and I can tell you some stories from there. Like nothing bad, but I mean, like the bus broke down one day, and we got out of the bus and we just started throwing the ball around. We had a flat tire.
Okay.
Well, within 10 minutes, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of local people. The locals were there. They had spears and
Oh my
mate,
God.
talk about terrified.
Oh my God.
So,
That's awesome.
but no, they didn't. There was nothing happened. They were just looking at us like, sort of thing. And so we got on the bus and we went off there. But that was the tour where Dean Lonergan had to drive the bus. Yeah, the driver had a Coke bottle, and it was obviously full of whiskey with Coke, a little bit of Coke in it. And he was pissed. An hour into it, and Graham Lowe said, "Get him out of that driver's seat, mate. He's gonna kill us." He was going around these corners, and all that. So old Dino, he jumped straight in the seat, and he got us there, mate. That guy. Oh no, that was crazy. And and that same tour, before the first test, we had a Wednesday night game.
Yeah.
And it rained for 2 days, and instead of putting sand on the ground to soak it up, they put gravel. They put actually loads of gravel, and so it was Lowy, myself, I think Hugh McGann, and someone else. We went over there and just could not play on it.
Yeah.
So that day, because those people would walk for miles to get to the game. This is what we learned. It wasn't like they jumped in their cars and drove to the game. They walked. So they've come 10 days, some of them, to get to this game, and it's called off. So we were in a compound hotel with big fences around, and we had to have security, full police security, and that because they were wanting to get us for calling the game off.
Crazy.
That was crazy. So another experience, so you don't know, but no, that was a tough tour, Dave.
I bet, man.
Obviously, you know what happened.
Yeah.
So, but we won that first test. What was the score on that? Did you got the score of that first test?
I think it might have been like 36-24 or a score like that, I think.
We were happy with the win, and then we knew we had to go down to Moresby where we landed, and it was really hot in Moresby, like that humidity.
Yeah.
And it was like a 2:00 kickoff, and the national anthems took about a half an hour, and we're just standing there, just pouring out the sweat, no excuses whatsoever, and they just played well above themselves, and we were left a bit flat-footed, obviously. And but the defining factor of that game, the referee was Kevin Roberts from Australia.
Okay.
And so we're having a beer after, and Dane O'Hara, my good mate, old Dane, he actually scored on the left-hand side, left-hand corner, down in the left-hand corner.
Yeah.
But I think it was on, like the old TMO now, it wouldn't have been a try. But he said at the bar when we're having a beer, there was about that much movement with the ball. And if he had just allowed that try, he wouldn't have been leaving Papua New Guinea that night. The referee, he said, he would not have been leaving Papua New Guinea. So so he awarded the try, and that was pretty tough because obviously Lowy, that was the end of Lowy's Kiwis. He went to Wigan after that. And we all took it pretty hard. Got back here, and people just didn't expect it. I think it would have been the first time they've ever beaten. I think we were the first international team they've beaten. But you got to be tough, you got to cop it. It's rugby league, That's why we, two teams, but it was quite disappointing. But a lot of us moved on from there, and some finished, some kept going, and some went to England and all that. But it was a tough way to end the tour. But as far as experience go, another great experience, Dave.
So, you played over 60 games for Auckland in your career. You were captain for loads of those matches. And, you went on the 1987 tour of Great Britain with the Auckland side. So how exciting was that, to be touring with a provincial side? Because you just don't see that kind of thing anymore. I mean, you just wouldn't see it anymore. That must have been crazy good.
Well, when Bob told me, and old Dodgy, he was the sponsor in the Under Ripper tour. His dad was the in charge of the soccer. I forget his name, the father, but I only remember him as Dodgy. He was a great bloke. Bob said to me, he said, next year we're going to tour England.
Yeah.
I think it was a 7 or 8 game tour. And I said, oh, that's unbelievable, like Auckland. He said, yeah. So, and it happened. And, oh, mate, that was a great tour. But as you see in the team, it was a pretty good team, eh?
Amazing team.
There were some big names, but I've got a pretty good memory. I've got some good stories from that one, real good stories, a couple of them anyway. Yeah. But so Bob had the junior Kiwis as well as the Auckland team at that same time.
Right.
So so the JKs were touring as well. I think a lot of your South Island boys were on that tour.
That's that photo I put up today on the yesterday. On the Facebook group. Yeah,
that's right.
87 tour.
No, they had a great squad too. They were all the stars coming in behind us, and so we get there and Bob had a problem for the Leeds game. He said, I can't be there. And I said, oh yeah, because I was the captain, and he said, you're gonna have to take them for that Leeds game. And I said, oh yeah, not a problem. Like, I'd never coached anyone, but obviously being captain, I'd had a lot to say.
Right.
So he said, I'll ring you. You take the trainings. I had Gary Freeman, Kevin Iro, mate, the gun, Clayton, they were all there, they could coach.
You didn't really have to coach them.
Yeah, that's right. So Dean Lonergan, Peter Brown.
Wow.
The road parties, Tia road party.
Mark Hoddle, he was there, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, and Mark was there. Everyone was there, mate. Like it was available, and our build up to that Leeds game was amazing. The boys just got them behind me, and we just did the job, And I watched that game the other day when you put it on, and
pretty cool, eh?
It was cool, and Bob was so proud of us, and did the job, but it was a tough tour, mate, because we're playing all those good teams, and but we did well. But I'll tell you, here's another one good for you, good one. So when we played St. Helens and they gave us a bit of a bashing, like they did, they were just too good on the
50 odd points, I think.
Yeah, no, we just did not fire. Yeah. But knowing in the back of our head, we got Wigan next week.
Yeah, big match.
You talk about the Aussie team: Ellery Hanley, Andy Goodway, Joe Lydon, Martin O'Flyer.
Oh, stop it!
That was and Graham Lowe as the coach.
That's not fair.
So we're coming off a flogging, right?
Yep.
But Bob being Bob, the master coach, I call him the master coach. He's a bit underrated, Bob, even though he beat Aussie when he was a Kiwi. But I knew how good he was, and but he was a good tactician, but he got on your head. You could get in your head, you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about that loss. That was then. Now this is Wigan. We got to go and beat Wigan. And to be fair, Bob and Graham had a bit of a rivalry because Bob wanted to be Kiwi coach as well. Back when Graham was coach. So anyway, he said we've been invited to Wigan for dinner.
Okay.
About a Monday or Tuesday night. So we go there, all in our number ones, and we're looking forward to meeting Graham and the opposition. They didn't turn up. They didn't turn up. Yeah, they didn't turn up for the dinner, see. So Bob being Bob, he said, right, back on the bus. So when he shut the door of the bus, he said, there's no way Wigan are going to beat us the way they've just treated us now. We ain't second-class citizens. We're going out there next Sunday to do the job. And we're thinking, okay, Bob, you're the man. We're going to do it, just coming off a flogging and knowing Wigan's even better than them, we've got a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it, Dave, Kevin and I just signed for Wigan.
Oh no!
so here's the best story. Here's a goodie. There's the beast. Oh, Kevin, good lad, great young guy. Yeah. He comes down. He says we had a bit of a. He said I need to have a talk to me as the captain and Bob as the coach. He said he come down and he says, what have you got to say, Kev? And he said, well, I've just signed for Wigan, and I don't really want to play against them. I said, you just signed for Wigan? That's even a better reason to play. And he goes, "Oh, why is that?" I said, "Just show him how really good you are. You are the beast." And he goes, "Well, that's right." He said, "That's right." So that pumped him up. So we had Kevin Hiro, the beast, ready to go. And then Bob got in the heads of everyone else. And, mate, I can tell you what, apart from that 83 test in Brisbane that we won, beating Wigan at Wigan. And, when we come home, we didn't get a lot of any TV coverage and that, but Wigan had just beaten Manly in the World Cup Championship.
Yes, right.
Right. So that was another incentive that Bob used on us. Like, we beat them, we're the world champions sort of thing.
Wow.
So the rest is history. We beat them, and it was unbelievable. And that was probably one of the better. I played in the second row that day, and just being part of it was a great team effort. It was just a brilliant team effort that day. We just ground away all day, and we got the result. Yeah,
you held them to 6 points. That's an impressive effort. That's unbelievable. You won 10-6, so you're taking on these great try-scoring players who can. No, because the English game's quite, fluid. It's a lot of open sort of style, and then you've ground them down to 6 points. That's a freakish effort. So that just proves defense wins games, and you take your opportunities if you get them.
Oh yeah, mate. But the thing about it, a lot of our players had test experience, and a lot of them were aspiring test footballers like Dean Lonergan and that. They were all, they were ready to break in then. So Peter Brown and all that. So it was a real good day to shine, and to beat Wigan. And poor old Lowy wasn't very happy after that one. No. But it was brilliant beating them. So, that was one of my highlights of my career, being involved in that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's move on to that Fox Memorial final, the 88. Yeah, Te Atatu won the Fox Memorial.
Right. So Brian Tracy, he was our coach from 84 when I was there. I didn't make it, but 86 and 87. And he took us so far. He was a brilliant coach. He was a former Kiwi halfback. He was a brilliant coach as well, but he took us so far, and the club was looking for a bit more.
Yeah,
they wanted a trophy. We had we got the national, we got the Lion Red in '86. We won so we won that. So we had a taste of success, but so that in '87 I was named Kiwi captain for that tour to Papua New Guinea. Hank Gordon.
Yes.
Dislocated my shoulder in a club game.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I had to pull out. So I started rethinking my career and all that. And I thought after that Auckland tour, I might be a Raiders player coach.
Okay.
So that's how it started. So I said to Te Atatu, I said, I'm more than happy to be player coach, if you want, blah, blah, blah. And they said, oh, what a brilliant idea. And so that's how that started. But we had Peter Brown, Mark Elia, Mark Hoddle, Shane Hoddle. We had a few Kiwis already, right?
Yeah, man.
But I knew by then what it takes to win finals.
Okay.
You need a real good team.
Yeah.
So I needed to add to that team, although we had good players and we had good up and coming players like Graham Huggins, Afa Tofa, Raymond Hall, Carl Taylor, the halfback. They were all good local boys.
Yes.
But I believe we needed a little bit more to add to that group of players, just in case of injuries. Tammy Tagaloa, he was a great player. He ended up at Manly. Unfortunately, got a bad injury. So I said to the club, they said, but we've got good players. I said, no, we need to add to it. It's a long season. I said, we're going to have players away with the Kiwis. We're going to have players with Auckland. I said, we don't want to be left without them. We need to still be strong. And I said, I've got an idea who I'd like to get. Okay. And they go, oh yeah, who are you talking about? And I said, well, I'm a big fan of the row parties. I said, obviously won't get Tia or Joe, but I said there's Peter and there's Eva. And Eva was the up and comer. I seen him play a couple of times, and he was brilliant. Eva would just glide through them, and Peter was a great great player. He played in Papua New Guinea. Peter
Yeah.
actually lived in Papua New Guinea.
Far out. That's cool.
So I approached those two, and they were quite happy.
Okay.
They got a few bob, they got a few bob
Yep.
to come up the motorway, and they were quite happy. And I said to them, there's one more player I want. And they said, who's that? And I said, well, there's a guy in 1986. I said, because I was quite a good, as I said earlier, was my defence. I like my defence, and I was quite a good tackler. And I went up to tackle this guy, and he stepped me, and he was gone.
Okay.
And I thought, and he played for Otahu, but I hadn't seen him for a year or two. So he filled in for John Ropati this day, but John was the Otahu fullback. This guy's name was Carl Magatogia, right?
Right.
This guy. So I want that bloke. I want him to play in my team or our team. I want him for Te Tiriti. I said to Peter Rudd, have you got a number for that Carl Magatogia? He goes, oh, he's playing senior B. That's below reserve grade, I said, I don't care what grade he's playing. I said, he can play football, that bloke. If he's playing senior B, he's just a total waste.
Yeah.
Grab me his number. This is how it went, Dave. I said, I rang him up, got his number, landline. Carl Magatogia. He said, speaking, real gentleman, absolute, talk to him 5 or 6 times a year ever since we stopped playing. He rings me all the time. I ring him. I said, Carl Magatogia. I said, Ron O'Regan speaking. I've just been given the player coach job with Te Tiriti. I'd like you to join us. These were his exact words, what he said back to me, Dave. He said, you must have the wrong guy. I said, no, you're that little B bastard that got past me. I want you. I said, we can organise a little deal for you, because we had a good sponsor. I said, and it'll pay you gas money up the motorway and that, but you're going to have to come out there and prove yourself because it's a bit of a gamble coming from Senior B. Well, the rest is history. He was an absolute star for us. Made the Auckland team. Quite possibly could have been a Kiwi if he had been. He was 27, I think, when we picked him up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. He was an absolute success story. And a good friend to today. So very proud of that. But no, that year was a good year. We was up and down because we had players in the Kiwis, Auckland team, but when it got, and Graham Carden was coaching Glenora. He's another great coach. And I actually played one game for Graham. I was for Glenora, our arch enemy, against North Sydney.
Really?
It was have you heard about that one?
No.
No, it's in the Auckland. There's a bit of a write up in the Auckland 100 Years of Auckland Rugby League. If you ever get a chance to see it, it's in there.
Okay.
So what happened was Graham Carter's such a great entrepreneur back then. The Glenora Bears play the North Sydney Bears.
Oh, how good!
Mark Graham, Clayton Friend, Olsen,
Florimo,
the whole lot, right?
Far out.
He organises the game. But he says, I need some invitation players. So he invited me. You wouldn't believe it. Tawera Nico was an 18-year-old.
No way.
True story. Had the mullet.
Wow. Oh, far out.
Neville Ramsey, rest in peace, brother. Neville, and I think Paddy or Tony Tumabavi. It was one of the Tumabavi brothers, right? I'll go back to Te Tiriti, but I'll quickly tell you that story because Graham said, put us in a training camp for a week. Went to Orewa Beach up north of Auckland. It was one of the best training camps I've ever been in. And I played at a lot of training camps and coaching schools and that. We were just so professional. We played at Carlaw. Big crowd, sell out. 10-all.
Far out.
That's with Mark and everyone. Mark and everyone playing Tawera. That was where Tawera started his career, was in that game in Auckland.
Yeah. Wow. Because he's a Waikato boy, from Huntly, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then I think he played for Glenora when he came to Auckland. He ended up playing for Glenora when he played for Auckland, come to Auckland. But we'll get back to Te Tiriti. So Te Tiriti, mate, that was so Graham had Glenora. So they're flying Bancroft, Phil Bancroft, Dean Lonergan, Kelly Shelford, Kiwi 5'8", but they're just about nigh unbeatable. Although I had all our stars, I had Peter Brown, Dean Lonergan, Sam Panapa, Mark Elia, Shane Horrow.
Wow.
We had a good team as well, but
You did? Yeah, man.
through the season we couldn't beat them.
Okay.
We could not beat them. 2 weeks before the playoffs, they beat us like 36-6 or something.
Last round.
Yeah, it was the last round.
Okay.
Last round, so very, because we're arch enemies. We're the Battle of the West, see?
Yeah.
So we go into the semis, and we won't meet them until if we make the final.
Right.
So we play Northcote and Mount Albert when we get to the final. But still in the back of our heads, even though I've got all these stars there, we cannot win, sort of mentally. It's a bit like the Wigan game.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to have to do a bit of a Bob Bailey here. I'm going to have to come up with something. So we had a barbecue, and there was belief there we could win, obviously with such a talented team, but the result, the 3 weeks before says we can't beat them.
Okay.
So anyway, we're having a barbie, and it's time for me as a captain and the coach to step up. I've got to pull something out of the bag. And I said, I just something out of the blue just said to me, like, this is what I said to them. I said, stop whatever you're doing right now, boys, having a little bit of barbie and a few soft drinks and that. And I said, look at the bloke next door to you. And they went, I said, what do you see? I hope you see what I see. That player you're looking at's better than what they've got, isn't he? Like sort of, tried to mentally get it in their heads that we had a better side on paper than they had. To believe in themselves that we can beat them.
Yeah.
So we're 18-0. Within 10 minutes, we're about 20 minutes, we're 18-0 up.
Oh, wow.
We go out there just firing. I had them right. They got through their heads and get in that change room, that Megatogia, the road parties, the Horros, the Browns, we're ready to go.
Good.
But this still got Lonnie and the banker and all that.
Yeah.
So we go into halftime, and you wouldn't believe it. This is like the whole game. 2 players that would never get sent off got sent off. Sam Panapa, he gets sent off within 10 minutes.
Oh, my God.
Pete Brown never gets sent off, although he's a prop forward. One of the cleanest players you've ever seen, and a very, very good footballer, got sent off. So we're down to 11 men, Dave.
Unbelievable.
With 20 to go.
You're kidding.
So, that song Slip Sliding Away.
Yeah.
It was happening. It was happening. Right? Nothing we could do but tackle our asses off, mate. We had Horro, Terry O'Shea, Tony Boddicker. Great. Terry O'Shea and Tony Boddicker could rack up 50 and 60 tackles, not a problem. And Mark, he could. So, and myself, I always had a good tackle count. Kelly Shelford scores under the post.
Yeah.
18-6. Then I think it goes to 18-12.
Oh.
Still about 10 to go, and I'm thinking, this is not happening. 11 men against 13. And credit to the boys, mate. We held on and we won it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen.
So, and then, so that's cool. That was our first Fox. It's still out. Unfortunately for Territory, they played in the semis last week and got beaten. So it's still our only Fox out there in Territory. But hopefully before I leave this beautiful planet, they can win another one. But then, as you probably know, we head out to Eden Park.
Okay.
We head out to Eden Park to play the final against Glenora once again.
Yeah.
And but we had Pete Brown, Mark Elia, I think Mark Woodall and Sam playing for the Kiwis.
Okay.
So we've had to replace them with those good locals I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And step up, they did. They stepped up, and that guy Cole Makatogia, if you ever get a chance to watch that game, he just cut him up. So So we won that as well. There was 48,000 people there that day.
Amazing.
First game of rugby league, so just a brilliant memory. So yeah, so blessed.
Yeah, man. What a way to win a final. It's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah, so,
Awesome, man. So you were inducted as an immortal for Auckland, which is so fitting for the most capped Auckland player, of all time. So, like, how much does it mean to you to have pulled on the jersey so many times and represent your province with such high distinction?
well, mate, to be honest with you, it was getting, for me personally, it was like I was getting used to playing for Auckland, right?
Yeah.
It would have been, and it was a great honour. Even though I live down in Chiefs country here, I'm still blue. I'll always blue. I'll die blue. But to be inducted into the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was like Dwayne Mann rang me up. He's going to be on your show as well. He was he rang me, and being the Phantom, I don't I look at the phone and I go, oh yeah, I don't know that number. I'll ring it back tomorrow. And my daughter said, you make sure you ring that number back, Dad. Could be something important, could be with the dogs or could be one of your league friends. You don't know. I said, oh yeah, okay. I'll do that tomorrow, love. That's my youngest daughter. I said, I'll do that tomorrow, love. And she said, we'll do that now, Dad. So I rang and it was Dwayne, and he said, you've been inducted into the Auckland Rugby League Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wasn't, and to be fair, a lot of people weren't surprised by it, but for myself personally, there's only, I think there's only like, I don't know how many. There's not many at the moment in there. Yeah. So, but there had been an induction the year before as well.
Okay.
But this year, the year I got inducted, this last year was 12 months yesterday.
Okay.
Because my oldest daughter texted me because I took all my family along, and it was I was very proud, So it was Graham Lowe, Alston Filipana,
Yep.
Dane O'Hara,
Yep.
Shane Varley, Fred Arcoy.
Oh, wow.
Ken Sterling, the great one, Kenny Sterling. So to be inducted with those guys,
it
was unbelievable. I was stunned. Although I played all those games and and I was. But what I thought about, Dave, was the great players that played for Auckland in other years, and and there's so many great players.
Yeah.
And I was just so privileged to be amongst all those great names. It was fantastic. It was just so proud. So yeah, so obviously impressed somebody. But but I mean, I'm quite a humble person, mate, as all the boys would say. Just get out there, do the job, and then that was the thing about it in those days.
Thoroughly deserved award, and I think anyone would agree that you're definitely one of the most recognised Auckland players of all time. The most caps. That's pretty special, especially in such an era when Provincial Rugby League was our pinnacle. And I wish we could somehow get back to that, because the more I dive into these podcasts and players, the more I just have this unbelievable respect and love for the history of our game. And
Of course,
and it's a shame we've got away from it in a way that, like, professionalism's great, but I think there's something special about going to a local game and seeing your best players, playing for your province. It's amazing.
Well, the thing about it, your boys down there, your South Island boys, like your Waldos, your Wayne Wallaces, Toddy, Russell Tudor. Mate, they were as good as anyone in the world, as footballers, and when we went to the showgrounds to play the South Island or Canterbury, we knew we were going down there to have a game of rugby league. Bring it on. They were awesome. In 84, if you have a look at I think it was 84. Yeah, it was 84. And we had a pretty star-studded Auckland team back then. We went to the West Coast and played the South Island, I think it was the South Island. We drew. Yeah. Then we went to the showgrounds and we drew again. On the Saturday or the Sunday we played, and they backed us up on the Tuesday and Wednesday, and we drew again.
Yeah.
So brilliant memories of playing the South Island boys, and I acknowledge Frank Endicott and whoever else is involved in trying to get an NRL team down there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I believe that'd be ideal.
That'd be amazing.
It'll be amazing because it'll give other young guys an opportunity, and it'll put the pressure on the Warriors.
Yeah, we'll keep more talent here. We want to see more Kiwis stay here and play for a New Zealand side. I mean, if we can't have an awesome provincial comp, we might as well have very strong NRL, side. We could have two. Mate. We can do two. Surely we could do two sides.
Well, you got Wellington, mate. You got them as well. There's always great rugby league players come out of there as well.
Absolutely.
So I think it's nice. And what about Frank? What a legend he is.
Oh, mate, he's so cool. I had breakfast with him yesterday. It was so cool. He's the coolest fella.
Give him my regards. Because I've never played for him, but I've always played against him. And when you're playing a Frank Endicott team, you're going to get a good game.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. So good, eh? Right, man. Let's finish with a few fun questions. So my question is, who do you follow in the NRL? Who's your side?
Who do I follow?
Yeah.
There's only one team for me, mate.
Has to be the Warriors, surely.
Team. only team I follow. Yeah. I used to like the Dogs when Sonny Bill was there, Bulldogs, because his grandfather, Bill Wolseley, he was a City Newton man.
Okay.
And he was a bit of a legend himself. Old Bill Wolseley was a boxer and a great league player. He never played for the Kiwis, but he played for Auckland. But he was a really tough guy and a really decent guy, So I followed the Dogs back when Sonny Bill made it, but Warriors through and through, mate. I love the Warriors.
Lovely.
A little bit disappointing at the moment, but that's all good.
Yeah, she's a tough old girl at the Warriors.
It's a hard one. Yeah. It was always going to be a tough one coming off that season last year.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was the tough one. Backing it up.
Yeah, no. The old element of surprise, with Webby first year coaching. Some of the players were getting, blah blah, and we surprised them. But this year they were waiting for us, and I don't want to say it, but I'm not a moaner, but some of those referee calls aren't the greatest.
No, they don't get the best rub of the green sometimes, to be fair.
No.
Right, so who do you think is going to win the competition in 2024?
Well, that's a toughie. You got the Bulldogs are actually going pretty well.
Mate, they're a dark horse now. Yeah.
That's Steve Crichton. He's another Meninga, I think. What I've seen of him in the last year or two. He's just stepped up. He's put a bit of weight on, and you got Adam Carr back, and but hey, you got to respect the old Bellamy and the Storm.
Yes. Yeah.
He's a legend, but the Roosters. Obviously with the Roosters, Te Two Roosters, and the Roosters, and they're a hope. So no, I think it's pretty open, eh? It's not cut and dry this year.
No, you think Panthers can go 4 in a row?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think Nathan Cleary is one of the best halfbacks, apart from Gary Freeman, Clayton Friend, and Shane Varley I've ever seen. I think. And Stacey.
Stacey's. He's probably my favourite of all time. He's unbelievable. Yeah. He was unbelievable.
Quick story, because I ended up coaching Waitakere in the Lion Cup. I was coach of them. Right.
Really?
So So after player coach, I got two more Fox finals, and we won one more national, and so I had a good coaching career at Te Two. Then I stepped up to Waitakere Raiders. What year was that, love? 94, 95?
94. Yeah.
94. So, but Gary Prom, he's a bloody good player. But we were arch enemies on the field, but off the field we were similar players. He was like a utility as well. He could play anywhere as well, but we always give each other a flogging on the field. But he said to me one day when we were coaching, he was coaching the CRC Vulcans Auckland team.
Yep.
He said, "Mate, you got no chance today." And I said, "Shut up, Romsey." I said, "You always say that." He said, "I've got this kid, Stacey Jones, and another young bloke called Joe Wagner,
Oh
He
my
said,
God.
They're just gonna rip you apart. I said, stop it. I said, stop there, Provincial. Well, I see this Stacey Jones walks into Carlow Park. He's still in his St. Paul school uniform.
Yeah.
He was that small, his shorts were over his knees. I said, stop it, bro. He goes, there he is there. I said, stop it now, Provincial. Within 10 minutes, he'd scored 3 tries.
Oh my God. Yeah. He is a freak.
He was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And you know the thing about Stacey, and I have noticed the fault with the Warriors. What I see from my, what I watch, and I should have a fair idea on the game. And we don't back up enough.
Okay.
We'll put someone through the gap, and then we'll stand and watch it. Where if we had a player like Stacey, because that's where Stacey was. That was his forte. He'd pass and back up. Pass and back up. We haven't been doing it. We seem to put someone in a hole, and then like Clayton Friend, that was his go-to, and Gary Freeman passed and back up.
They scored lots of tries for halfbacks, because their speed and ability to back up.
That's right, and in our case now with the Warriors with Fanua Blake and those guys, they can drop a nice ball off.
Yeah,
but there's no one there to give it to.
Okay.
That's what I see. That's the window I'm looking through. I was always told by Roger Bailey and great players like that of the off pass and back up.
Yeah.
That's what we haven't done this season.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I see.
Let's hope they can sort it out. 2025. Let's go again.
Yeah, well, hey, I'll be watching anyway.
Right, man. Anyway. Right, 2 unrelated league questions. So what's your favourite TV show or series of all time?
Favourite TV shows Trackside.
Yep, I can imagine.
Trackside. And my mates are going to hate me for this, but because I've got 3 daughters, 3 granddaughters, and a wife that loves Shortland Street, I have to say Shortland Street.
First answer, finally, Shortland Street.
It's a shocker. No, but I'm pretty cruisy sort of guy. I always have been, Trackside, I love my music, so I love watching the music shows and that, so yeah. So
brilliant. Okay, man, last question. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
One meal for the rest of my life. Flounder.
What's that?
Beef flounder.
Oh,
I love
flounder.
Yeah, I still go out here over the Thames here and catch. I still go out and doing a little bit of hunting and fishing. So, but I love flounder. I like snapper too. Got the Contiki. We put the harvester out off the beach. We do the old, we don't get our feet wet. We just put the harvester out and we set the net.
That's the one.
So I love the old flounder. Yeah, I'd eat that every day of the week if I could.
Beautiful, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man. Going back in the day with me. Been an absolute pleasure to meet you and hear all the great stories. I hadn't heard most of those stories, so it's really awesome to just dig a bit deeper and see what you've been up to through your career. It's bloody wonderful.
Yeah, well, you keep up the good work too, Dave, because this is great for us older blokes, that have had been involved, and as the old saying used to be, you get thrown on the scrap heap and no one wants to know you, so things like this is brilliant. It just, I've watched most of your podcasts and it, just love the stories the boys say, So you keep up the good work, you and your wife, and never know, mate. They make the NRL, we might come down there one day and we might catch up.
Awesome, man. You take care, and thanks everyone for listening. And this has been Ron O'Regan, back in the day with me, your host Dave, and we'll see you all next time for Kickoff.
Full time.